Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PCF2 here at PSGL on the YouTube and for the first time the Twitch channel for the final time this season here in season 35. Obviously, we're off to Bahrain for normally we'd say the total finale, but that got wrapped up last week by Tamas Gal. So tonight it's just the finale race, and it's the last chance for drivers to get wins and score points if they want to get anywhere high towards second. Obviously, I know that in the standings, obviously there's still many positions to play for. Been as I'd say probably like fourth down, it's very close. So obviously those drivers will like to get some bragging rights by being fourth instead of being, for example, eighth. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of that coming through tonight. And also, we've got some season 34 champions taking part. We've got Lillian Derbicourt from PCF3 taking part alongside Joris Krozen from F4. So we'll see what those can do here tonight in PCF2. And we'll see if they're going to be fit enough to race here next season. Sappy, alongside me yet again. You missed out last week due to some Discord bugs, but you're back here for the final round. Are you excited for the Bahrain Grand Prix?
Yeah, I'm excited. Unfortunately, I did miss the last round because Discord decided to not register myself as being down to commentate. But, we move forward. Little technical gremlins. Still had a great race and a great commentary from what I saw, managed to catch up on. And I am looking forward to this. We have had the championship wrap up, but as you said, there's still plenty of opportunities for points to come in for some of our other runners, opportunities for some people to jump some crazy places, especially in the mid-pack if you take a look at the standings.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a look at the standings there before we get our way in towards the qualifying session. Obviously, we can see that PSGL did take the championship last night. Last week in Britain when he had a really enthralling battle with Max Wiesel on those final laps. And it was obviously Shimon who came home with the win on that occasion, with Tauchi second and Max in third. Then we had Keane Goldup who finished in fourth. He's still third in the standings going into this race, so he's got the chance to take Max Wiesel's second place away if he can score 16 points and Max scores 0. So realistically, Keane needs to win the race and Max needs to be 11th or lower. So we'll see what will happen here tonight. I'm not sure if Keane's actually here. I think he will be though, however. And then obviously further down we've got lots of Joost Noordijk in the top 5, Jan Halliday in P6, Daniel Kjelsen in P7, Toga Hardy 8th, Lily Pepin 9th, and obviously Reece Linton ran at top 10 after his stellar performance back in Miami. He was also on for a podium in Britain, but that race didn't quite go to how we would have planned. Obviously he went later and went on to a set of softs. That didn't work too well in the end, but he still got himself home in P5. So realistically, Sappy, I think with some of the drivers we've got in this team, if you look at, like, obviously quite a few of them have missed 1 or 2 races through this season. If they was here every race, this total battle would have definitely gone to the end, and it would have been between 3 or 4 drivers at this point, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. You look at the spread of performances, as you say, and the sort of, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say it's kind of almost like one-hit wonder type, but you have seen some drivers in here who haven't been here for very many rounds, who have sort of come in out of a relatively sort of distant position, smashed it out of the park. I mean, I look at Reece Linton. 3 races, a 7th, a 5th, and a win. That's got to stand for something. So if he was there for the start, and I think the same can say for a lot of other drivers who missed significant rounds, we would look at a very, very different and very spicy title battle.
Definitely, and obviously I'm also excited to see what Joris and Lillian can do. Obviously those two won their championships in F3 and F4. Lillian won by about 40 points. I think he was on 100, and the person in second, which was Leo Lund, was on about 68, so he was leading by 32 points. Then Joris, on the other hand, yet again, I think he was leading by around 30 or 40 points, so he's definitely... those two are definitely going to be definitely making a challenge, I think, in tonight's race. Obviously, whether we'll see them next season, we don't know. If they sign up, I wouldn't be surprised if they are here, being as they're filling in for F2 on the final round. Obviously, unfortunately, we've only got 17 drivers. First of all, it's the last race. Second of all, I know a lot of people don't actually like Bahrain, so I'm not all surprised. I know it's a track that isn't really favoured too much. A lot of people don't like it, especially a lot of the faster drivers as well. A lot of it down to this section here at turns 9 and 10. It's a really weird section. You've got to be quick here. You've got to have a setup built for it, which what drivers don't like to do, and they want to be quick everywhere. If they're quick, if they're slow in one corner, or relatively slow, that means they're bad at the whole track in their eyes. And we all know that they're good at every other corner. So that is a reason why people don't like this track. And there's also other corners around here that are also a little bit tricky. Obviously, turn 1 being a big example, turns 2 and 3. People don't like to race there because half the time someone gets shunted off the track and into the wall, or just ends up taking a lot of gravel, and a lot of dust on those tyres, carrying it up towards turn 4. So the track itself, racing can be quite harsh. You get pushed off, it does bite you very badly, doesn't it?
It really does. And at the end of the day, this is more of a power track than really anything else on the calendar short of Monza. You've got 3 massive straights, 2 of them decorated with DRS zones, not to mention just coming out of turns 9 and 10. So, as you said, you have to have a setup that's basically bespoke built for certain sections of this track in order to be efficient. And it just doesn't gel with people's driving styles. That awkward sort of downhill but braking halfway through to take the tighter left-hander, it's so rough to get right. If you do get it right, big time gain, especially with the DRS zone that comes out of it. But it's so difficult to balance that alongside the rest of your build.
Definitely, indeed. And just to confirm in the chat, yes, Joost Noordijk has a qualifying ban for this race, so we will be starting from 17th on the grid. We're just on board now with Keane Goldup, who will be the first one to set a lap time here in tonight's qualifying on 28.332 for the first sector here for Keane. Obviously, as we know, he needs to finish first, and Max needs to finish outside the points for him here today to take second place in the championship. If not, and if he finishes second or lower, that is it for him, and he will be stuck in third position, which still, for his first season over on PC, he should be very, very happy with, considering this season's been very, very competitive to what we've seen in past F2 seasons. There we can see Keane just coming through the dust, as it's a very dusty circuit here over at Bahrain, very foggy as he heads up towards turn 11 at the big left-hander up a bit of a hill before you switch back to the right-hand side for turn 12. Yet again, you can touch a bit of curb here, pull the car around, run wide on the exit as you prepare yourself for the next corner. It's got a 105.921 in that split there for Keane for the first and second sector. We'll see what this lap ends up as he exits the final corner, just coming down towards turns 14 and 15 shortly. Hitting late on the brakes before that 50 metre, will throw the car to the inside, run wide on the exit on the exit of turn 15 as you head up towards line. What time will it be for Keane going up to open up the session? It will be 1:27.534. We've got a few cars left to come through. We've got Bradley Holdham. He goes into P2 there with a 27.595. Leading Debacle goes quickest with a 1:27.44. When Tamashko goes even quicker with a 27.348. Little bit behind there's Limpa Pinta in P2 on a 0.358. We're going to go on board now with Joris Kroos and we'll see what he can cook up in this next run. We can see Race Imtiaz there on a 1:27.6. He needs to improve on that along with Jay Van Bussel as well on a 0.65. Daniel Koy then just slotting in just behind his teammate as that will be Lekomsky up into the top 4 along with Max Fiesel in the top 5 there. As Daniel Kjelten now takes that full from his McLaren teammate. We'll see what Joris can do as he heads up towards the line. What will it be for Joris? It will be P8 only for him with a 0.534 matching the time of King going up as that will be Max Grospointer into the top 3 there just ahead of Lilian Derbacourt.
And nearly everyone setting a lap immediately. You don't really see that. Usually you see a few cars who hang back or don't leave the pits right away, but no. Everyone bar Jan Halliday has set a lap pretty much immediately. And the best part is there's only half a second to quali spread, so everyone's pulling absolutely no punches right out the gate.
Yeah, indeed, it is very close, and obviously, you know, we've seen times that are pretty much identical, and obviously the top 3, they're separated by just over, or just under, I should say, 40 thousandths of a second. That's 400ths of a whole second. We'll see what Jan Halliday can do. Can he join the top 3? No, he'll be P10 there with a 0.541, so a little bit behind the time of Joris and Kian there. But obviously, Max Fiesel, not the strongest that time with a P7, considering what we see normally from him. Some drivers will be happy with the P7 for Max. That is probably considered quite poor, but as I'd say in this grid, along with Tamas Gal, they're the 2 best qualifiers. Obviously, Tamas we can see on that provisional pole position at the moment with a 1:27.348. I know, however, in different leagues, Tamas has always been a really quick driver around this circuit, so it's no surprise to see him sitting at the top after these first runs. Obviously, Leonard Pinter as well, reserving this season. He's done a good job in the top 2 at the moment with Tamas. Obviously, I believe Tamas recently announced he left race clutch, so obviously normally we'd be saying he's with his teammate, but no, not anymore. His Tamas obviously is going to be moving on to new endeavours shortly. As we can see as well, the 2 McLarens over at Roche Academy of Daniel and Shimon Lekomsky sitting in P5 and P6 very close together as well. Daniel and Shimon as well are 2 drivers that I think if they attended every race and they had luck in every race they was in, they'd easily be able to charge on the championship. And obviously, we know Daniel missed out 2 or 3 races in the season. I know Lekomsky was on for a win back in Hungary. I think it was round 5 and had a DNF from leading the race. He was leading quite comfortably as well. So we know those 2 have definitely shown that winning time. Obviously, so far here tonight, they're sitting in that top 5, top 6. It's not bad, but it could definitely be a lot better. But also, for me, a surprise is Joris. I've commentated him over in WR, and he's just flying at the moment. He's got 3 race wins over there, back to back, and he's qualifying. So I remember the once he was quicker than a T1 qualifying time for pole. So we know he's got that pace, but here tonight he's still going to find a couple of tenths to get himself ahead of his Alpine teammate Tamas Gal. So we'll see. Well, not teammate, he's Mercedes. Well, rival, I suppose, of Tamas Gal. We'll see what those 2 can do for the session. We've got Jan Halliday heading back into the pits, and pretty much that is it for now, Sappy.
Yeah, we've got Lenny Papinto being the first one out to go for yet another run. And I'm looking at around, seeing all the drivers give it their absolute all. I feel for Joost Noordijk. I feel for him. He has, of course, got to serve the qualifying bang after impeding on the last round, being served that. But of all the rounds, this is the one that you don't want to get it on. Because, look, everyone's got a quali run, and everyone's got a good quali run at that.
Yeah, definitely. I think these first runs have been absolutely phenomenal, haven't they? Obviously, the grid itself being the top 10 separated by just over 2/10 of a second. Normally, we expect to see about 3 or 4/10 of a second between the top 10 around some tracks, so it is relatively close. Considering this track as well, there's a lot of tight corners, a lot of tricky corners, which you can gain lots of time and lose lots of time in. So you'd expect the grid also to be a bit more spread out due to that factor. So yeah, it is relatively a very close grid. We can see as well, we've got the bottom 4 out on the lap apart from Liam Steens. We've got Leon Derbacourt, we've got Simon Keane also now beginning their outlaps in this second part of the Q1 session. Well, qualifying session, I should say. I keep getting mixed up by that Q at the top. It's not a full quali, it's just a short quali, but due to EA, we've got the Q1 graphic there. Since the start of the game, it was meant to be fixed, but it never did, unfortunately. But enough of that, we've got everyone now pretty much on their outlaps. Obviously, Liam Stevens, not an ideal start to him. For qualifying, obviously on a 1:27.842, he needs to definitely find half a second if he wants to at least try and challenge Tamas Gal's time. So he's got a lot of improvements that he needs to gain. I would presume that with Liam's time, he must have made a mistake or one big mistake somewhere along the circuit, because Yes, Liam's not been fighting for podiums and victories all the time, but he has been consistent, and he's been consistently around that top 10 area, between that 10th, 11th, 12th part. So we know he's good enough to score points. We know he's good enough in quali. He's just got to try and fix whatever mistake he made earlier on in this session. And also, Matt Scruggs pointed in the top 3. Nice to see him near the top. Obviously, has 3 DNFs this season, along with the do not start of all the races he was in F2. So tonight, a top 3 will be very good for him indeed. We know he took a podium back in E-Series, I think it was Japan last season. So yet again, he's a driver we know can score podiums. He's just got to get it right on the night. And so far, a P3 start to qualifying definitely is the worst. But Sappy, we do have Lenny on a lap heading down towards turn 4.
Yep, and we can jump right on board with him now, see what he's doing, see where he's going to place himself. Now, he has got some good pace here. He is a little bit down on his previous first sector, but he is trying to lock it in best he can. Turn at 8, a little bit wider on the apex, but you want to carry a bit more speed. Now, this is the clincher. This is the, of course, infamous double apex, turn 9 and 10. You actually go swing very wide, even a little bit of a slide on the rear. You just need to get that car rotated round, get it on the power as soon as you can for the DRS zone. You get it to about 180, 190 miles an hour before heavy on the brakes once again up the hill. You can afford to be a little bit heavier on the throttle, but overdoing it will send you round. Very much mounting the curb there. I wonder if that unsettled him a bit, but last couple of corners, Pepinta looking like he's on some good pace here. He just needs to link it up. Final corner now, and heavy on the throttle. He keeps it pinned. Oh, a bit too much there. And manages to dodge track limits, but it is going to be an abandon. He wasn't happy with that lap. He went for the pit.
Yeah, we'll see what other riders can do. We've got Sergio Sabino as well on a lap time. Lillian up to the line. He goes back into pits as well in that 0.4. Sergio's up by just a slight bit in that middle set, so we'll see if he continues up with that lap himself, or if he also chooses to head back into the pits. Sergio Sabino, yes, again, hasn't had a lucky season himself. Currently down in P13. He hasn't had many points at all. I think he's only scored around 7 points this season, so he's also in need for some good points. He's invalidated his lap, so that will be it for this run here for Sergio Sabino. What about Jerry Van Bussel? He heads back into the pits, and we've got one of the Ferraris. That'll be, I believe, Daniel Coyer. He will set his lap. What will it be for Daniel? He'll be up into P11, just jumping his teammate Bradley Holdham. As we got Race Imtiaz on a lap as well. He's up on his time. Where will he go up to? With P6 there for Race Imtiaz, 1.485. Then we've got the Mercedes. That'll be Yoris coming through. No, it's not. It's going to be his teammate. That'll be Liam Stevens. Onto a 0.585 as Keane going up there into the top 4, just behind Matt's Gross pointer. Tamas Gal goes quicker there with a 0.151 now, bringing that gap between him and Lenny Pepinta to 0.2 of a second. So currently, Tamas on a very good qualifying session at the moment, but we've still got many drivers on their second runs. We've got Daniel Kjelsen now. He goes up into the front row provisionally with a 0.304. We've got one of the Ferraris coming through along with Max. Max has gone into the pits. Bradley Holdham goes into P6. Where does Joris Krozen go? He's up to the line. Where will it be for him? It will be P2 with a 0.257 there, improving by nearly 3 tenths. Max Fiesel goes to the top there by 0.06 of a second with a 0.145. And still, Sapper, you can't predict who's going to be on pole.
It's a leapfrog game. Everyone is getting as hard of a run as they can, and even with the tiniest of margins, that P1 is looking just as tasty. So Max Fiesel, I think you said it best earlier. So for him, P7, where he was at the time, he sees that as quite poor. He knows he can do better. He knows he can execute. And tonight's the night, it seems. Pippin by 6 thousandths is going to be getting that front spot. But he's got to defend it for just under 6 minutes now.
Indeed, and just look at, after those first runs, how far people have dropped down. So Lukomsky didn't find an improvement on his lap. So he's now dropped down from P6 to P12. Lillian was in the top 4. He's now moved down to P10. So even though people are getting improvements, they need to keep getting more improvements, otherwise they're just going to drop down further and down, because people near the back are just finding 2-3 tenths of a second with this track evolution. And now they're able to show their real pace in the qualifying. Lenny Pepinta was, I think 10 tenths off pole. After those second runs, he didn't find a good run in. He's now down to P5. What's that? Just over 2 tenths from that pole position. So they've all got to find improvements on these final runs. We can see lots of Lenny and Lillian already out on circuit with 5 minutes left to go. So they're going very, very early, aren't they? Onto circuit, their final parts of qualifying, unless they're going to go for an extra out lap and try and burn off a bit of extra fuel and see what they can do with that. I'm not quite sure. I'm not an engineer, so I wouldn't know what their plan is there. But obviously, hello to everyone who's in the Twitch chat. Hello to everyone in the YouTube chat. We hope you're having a very fantastic evening here to watch some brilliant racing here for the final round of PCF2. Obviously, we're not going to be back here for a little bit. And, well, there's no championship championship fight going on because Tamas Gals took it last week in Britain. And we'll see next season who it'll be. I don't believe Tamas will be racing next season. I believe he said he wouldn't be along with Max Wiesel. So next season we'll be guaranteed to have a new champion.
Yeah, and that is, say, bittersweet because of course we've seen some domineering performance from Tamas Guy and Max Wiesel as well, putting some great work in. So it is going to be a shame to say that they're not going to be racing if that is true. And whoa, just see Lee and Derbicourt, very big slide on the rear there, trying to get it around turn 8. I do question whether that strategy is still viable. I know it was talked about a lot in the early stages of the game, and you can see for a little bit of a power slide there out of turn 10. It is a questionable strategy. It certainly looks a bit odd from the cameras, but
it does, yeah. I don't think that's the plan, is it?
I don't think that's the plan. And as soon as you have to counter steer, I think you've kind of lost the pace that you would have otherwise gained. But yeah, it is going to be a guaranteed new champion. At least we know that much, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing the new talent that springs through, because this is really the springboard. You look at some of the names on this board, you look at some of the drivers who have had a taste of PCF1 and all the other competitions around the league calendar. This is the kind of springboard for that, so it's always awesome to see new talent come through.
It is definitely, and obviously esports teams won't always admit it, but we know they're looking at F2, F3, F4 to see what talents are coming through. We've seen drivers over in F3 and F4 recently be signed as development or academy drivers for these teams. So we know they're watching, and this is where this is kind of the perfect place for the drivers to show off their skills and show that they're deserved of having a place in in a pro series team, and hopefully for them to have a seat on the actual F1 esports, or we should say F1 sim racing grid. Well, when it actually happens again, which we don't know when that will be. Obviously, lots of Keane obviously recently got signed to Williams. I think it was like 2 days ago we got signed to them. We did some races before, but he didn't get officially signed until the other day. Also, you got lots of Yoris, Lillian, Lenny are all also part of the race coach team. So, yeah, there's a lot of drivers that are coming through which are getting these deserved spots in these teams, and they've just got to keep improving and improving. And we do see from drivers, once they join these esports teams, they have a massive leap of confidence sometimes, which I think is a great thing for them, because sometimes their skills are kind of hidden behind that, lack of confidence, isn't it? And that, that lack of being able to deal under pressure.
I'm always a fan of the idiom "settle it on the track," and I think this place, along with many others on the calendar, is the kind of place to do it. It's almost getting the opportunity to say, right, I have this untapped skill. I may not have the confidence to fully show it and talk about it, but in the right conditions on the track, I can show what I'm made of. And we've seen that throughout the different tiers. We've seen some meteoric rises of drivers go through all the way of the lower tiers, from PS to PC and vice versa. And looking around, you can almost learn the stories of the drivers and how they've either had to work hard or had to unlock and show that potential that they've always had.
Yeah, indeed. I think for one of the examples for myself would be Anhade. I watched him back in F4 in season 30 when he was known as, I think it was ADRT Peso. And yet again, he was an F4 driver. He was a lot slower than he is now. But I've watched him over time. Obviously, when he moved up to F3, I was lucky to move up with him. And then when he moved to F2, I also coincidentally moved up at the same time. So I've been able to see him evolve over time. And where he was then to where he is now, it's only been 2 years. And it's like he's a different driver. And I think a lot of other drivers will have those. Well, every driver has those personal stories, which, kind of show that, well, sometimes some drivers might be lucky, some drivers might be a little bit unlucky. I'm sure there's definitely drivers in the community that deserve spots that haven't got them. So there's many different factors, isn't there, to being a great driver, as we can see now. We've got a few drivers on 8 laps, and we've got drivers on their actual laps. Go on board with Joey Van Bussel. He's heading down towards the end of that first sector, but I actually believe that King Goendup is a little bit further ahead. He's up in that first sector by 62 thousandths.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good there in that Williams, and certainly putting his skills to the test. What is a league so much as it is a proving ground? You get yourself in a team and you get yourself in a lobby of like-minded and similarly driven and fast drivers, and you're only going to improve. It's the right environment to foster that kind of talent, foster that kind of drive from everyone here. And we see King Konendorp looking very clean, very smooth, nice and tight to the apex on the curves. Turn 13 now. He's 2 tenths down. He could be projected to take one of the podium spots, but the checkered flag has fallen on qualifying. So now this is the last chance for everyone to do their laps. This is going to be it. Final corner for King Godendorp. What's it going to be?
Let's see as he comes through, heads to the final corner. He's invalidated. Oh, it was a big improvement, but he's invalidated the lap, so no improvement for Kean going up. He's crashed into the barriers. He knows he's not happy with that, and I don't know if that results in a penalty. I don't think it will, because it's the end of qualifying, but he definitely shows his frustration. Then we've got Jerry Van Bussel. Is he up on his time? He goes to line. He will be into P14. Not the most ideal. Then we've got one of the Ferraris. That'll be Daniel Koya. He hasn't found the improvement on his lap, so he'll be staying there. We can see that'll be Black Box coming through next race. Imtiaz will see what he can do. Only up by 1 thousandths in the middle sector. He goes up into P8 there. Then we've got the Mercedes. Is that going to be Yoris? Yes, it will. Where does he go? He goes to provisional pole with a .093. Then we're going to go on board with Tamas Gal. He's heading through in towards turn 14. We'll see if anyone else can try and fight for pole. That would have been Mats Grossbull finishing in P7. We've got Lekomsky into the top 5 with a .325. Then we'll have Daniel Koya only finishing in P14, along with Liam Steams in P14 now. Tamas has gone deep, so that won't be an improvement. What can Max Wiesel do? Can he try and take that pole position away from Joris Kroes? And obviously, Joris there, F4 champion, and Max has backed off. So F4 champion, Joris Kroes on pole in F2. Brilliant up there from the Race Clutch Mercedes driver here tonight. And, well, we'll see what can he do in the race, because that was absolutely electric, because we've got Lenny Papinta still. No, he's also done. So, yeah, that is it. So it'll be Joris on the front row alongside Max Wiesel, then the two Alpines of Tamas and Lilian Debecourt.
I feel for Godendorp, I really do, because he was on such a good lap. He was projected a quarter of a second at the time he went off the track. And if he had held that together, that would have put him on the front row, if not pole, had it not been for Joris's amazing final lap.
Yeah, indeed, it is definitely a big shame for Kian. Obviously, you know, we know he needs to win today if he wants to take that P2 away from Max. Max needs to finish outside the points, and at the moment they're swapped around of what it should be. If Kian wants to win, he'd need to be where Max is, and Max would need to be where Kian is. So, not an ideal start for Kian's race. Very ideal for Joris's debut here in F2. Very ideal also for Lillian's debut here in F2. We can see the final classification of the qualifying session. Joris on pole by 52 thousandths ahead of Max Wiesel. Then 5 thousandths back is Tamas Gal in third, followed by Lilian Debecourt in the top 4. Then we've got the two McLarens, Daniel and Shimon in the top 6, followed by Lenny Papinta, Mats Grosspointer, Jan Halliday, and Ray Imtiaz rounded at the top 10 in the Alfa Romeo. Then we have Kean Gondorp, Sergio Sereno, Bradley Holdham, Liam Stevens, Daniel Coyett, Jerry Van Bussel, and Joost Nordot rounded at the top 17. And I don't think we've got a restart, have we? Because I don't remember any.
No impedance.
So I think we're straight into it, aren't we?
Yep, no legal blocking, no impedance. We are going straight into the race.
And before we get into the session, we'll have a quick word from our sponsor over at GT Omega and possibly Sim Racing Centre, if we can fit it all in. Because normally we have a break. We don't normally have straight into a race, so we'll be back with you very, very shortly. And we're back just in time. And, well, trackside for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Everyone in the chat, let us know, who do you think will win the race? Sappy, who do you think will take the race victory tonight?
Oh, it's tough. Why are you going to throw it to me first always? I am keeping my eye on Max Wiesel. He's got his pace. He can put it down. He abandoned his last lap, so I wonder what the consistency is like for him here at Bahrain. But I am going to be keeping an eye on him because he's proven he can hang it there with the best.
Oh, definitely. I think, you know, if it was a few more rounds, he would definitely be fighting with Tamas Gal for that championship even further. So, yep, and Max, Will Gibbons sorry saying Viva Grandpa in the chat. So lots of support for Max. We'll see what they can do tonight.
I feel it. Viva Grandpa, indeed.
And well, we'll
see what he can do.
Hopefully get started quite shortly. Normally we have to stand here for about 50 to 60 seconds for it to start. Sometimes it's 10 seconds. And every time, Sappy, even though we know it's going to come, it always jump scares us.
Yep, it's going to be... Yep, there we go. Called it. Jump scare. All right, we have 3, 4, 5 red lights. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time, and my sound has completely gone, but we are out and we are going racing. Track is hot here in Bahrain, and immediately it's going to be a push for Tamas Gao. He's going to go straight onto the inside heading into turn 1. He's going to be making the attack immediately on Max Wiesel. 2 and 3 is going to be sort of getting a lock back. Tamas even losing the rear a little bit. He's really pushing that car. He wants those early gains. He wants those early positions because he's on the softs. And Max Wiesel, there's contact between himself and Max Wiesel there. So he's certainly not going to be happy with that. Luckily, Tamas is going to yield. But yeah, contact coming in. Tamas is not looking too hot.
Off the track, he's gone off the circuit. Yeah, he had a bit more contact with Max coming through to turn 4. He's now down to P6. I wonder if he's got damage. I don't know. He's just lost lots of time. Went off the circuit. He's come back down to P7, meaning that Max will be in P2 to Lillian in 3rd. As Joris Krozen has a 1.4 second lead already at the start of this race. Obviously, he's on the softs. Then we've got Tamas Kin and Racing Tez also on the softs, along with Jan Hardy on the mediums. Everyone else on a set of the hards. Now Tamas trying to get himself past Lenny. Papinta gets himself past Lenny, as we can see them pop into our screens as they head up the hill at turn 11. Towards turn 12. That's also going to be King Gontor taking the information through. No, Lenny keeps it ahead. Lenny's got it back ahead of Tamas. Yeah, Tamas is struggling here. He's down to P8 already in this race. It's just not been the best start for the Alpine driver. Got Racing Tiaz now pulling to the inside of the Alpine. Surely he's got a damage at this point. He's losing so much time. He's losing so many positions. On lap 1 of 29, he's down to P9 already. And then we've got Jan Halliday up the inside. He's got damage, hasn't he, surely? He's dropped more and more.
I'm not getting any reads on any of my monitors, but he may also have his telemetry turned off. He very well could have damage, and we've been none the wiser here. One thing's for sure, though, he is struggling, and he is struggling hard, as many other racers are making some very good time, making some good moves, and being able to get that early gap on the rest of the field. I mean, you look at the top 5, 4 of them are hard runners, so the strategy is going to play very much into their favour.
Indeed it will. As we can see, Bradley Holden trying to launch an attack there on Tamas. Can't do so. His teammate Daniel Coy sitting behind him, P13. Back near the front, we got Gundorp up to P6 already, side P11. He's now into the top 6, trying to launch an attack on one of the 2 McLarens. First, it will be Lekomsky, followed by Daniel Hjelsen. So we'll see if Kian can try and find a way through. Bradley Holden got himself through on Tamas Gale. Jos Nordijk, Frank Williams, Steams of P14 further down. Obviously, Jos, we saw start at the back from that ban. He started on the set hard. Going to try and go with that normal usual strategy like everyone else, or pretty much everyone else is. And I feel like Tamas is lifting off heavily, because I saw when he's going to the final corner, he lifted off at about 100 metres. Normally you see them going into the brakes, or either that, or maybe he's worried about fuel. I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a very weird phenomenon to see at the start of this race. And for us as commentators, when we don't know much already, to have a driver do something like that, we get sprung to so many different things that could actually be happening half the time. It's as simple as that, the fact of they're not trying or something.
Yeah, well, we would have got some reads by now, because we would have seen like the fuel flash up with the negative lap deficit warning, and we would have got some tells from some of the telemetry that I've got reading here, but nothing's coming up. All signs point to either damage, but it's not detecting. Pits. And as you can see, I think that might just be that, as Tamas is now headed into the pits. Is it going to be a retirement? No, I think he's sticking to it. I think he's committed.
He is, so we'll see what he goes. Surely it'll be a set of hards, unless he goes for mediums and goes, yeah, it'll be on hard. So not sure if they'll go 26 laps.
Yep, front wing damage.
Front wing. So that must have been what it happened, and it must have been that light that obviously it didn't come from the telemetry software you have, or it was the fact he had it turned off or not visible to public. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame there for Tamas Gale. Lap 1 got a bit of a tap from Max, and I think it was that extra tap they had at turn 4, because they came out of turn 4. I'm not sure what happened. Then also I saw Max move back over and hit the side of the Alpine. And that's I think what sent him off the track, and then Lily and Daniel Keane all flew through, and then there was nothing he could do to save that damage. So he's 27 seconds back, so his main priority now will be trying to get back into that field if he can, or at least at some point try and lead the race once all those pit, because obviously we know those hards will be quicker. He'll be in a lot more pace and probably end up jumping them once those pit stops complete, but then by the time they pitted, his tyres will also be slow. So it's not the most ideal strategy for damage, but then again, you got damage. What else can you do? Pretty much nothing, as Joris Krozen still leads by over 2 seconds to Max Wiesel in second. Obviously, he's on the hards, Joris on the soft, so he's normal to have such a large lead at the start of this race. But then the question is, Max goes on to mediums or softs, Joris goes on to mediums or hards, meaning that he'll be probably on a harder tyre compound for longer. So he will struggle, I think, near the end of this race. But then again, we know Joris has got the race pace. I've watched him a long time. If it's anything he can do, it's that he can race properly on older tyres. I know he can do it. He's got very good tyre management, so we'll see what he can do once the end phase of that race arrives. Further back, we've got King Goendorp making a move for P4 ahead of Daniel Kjelsen to take down both the McLarens. Down to turn 1 now. He's next. Victim will be Lilian Derbical, PCF3 champion here for the first time and qualified P4. He also, along with Joris, has had a very, very good debut in qualifying, at least here in F2 in the first 4 laps of 29 here at Bahrain.
And it's looking very good for him. Joris, in particular, I think plays a strategy to perfection here. He's taken the softs. He knows that he's going to get a clean breakaway because everyone else behind him is going to fight. I think he subtly knew that there was going to be a tussle for P2, and he used that to get a break. And now 2.2 seconds clear of Max Wiesel. Max Wiesel's got his own set of problems because he's going to have to deal with a severe deficit by nature of DRS. And you've got King Godendorp, who's very quickly scything up the field and is got his sights set on the podium.
Indeed, we'll see what he can do throughout the rest. Obviously, it's a long race in the next 25 laps, so absolutely anything could happen. And well, I think one thing that could ruin Joris's race so heavily is a safety car, because then just say the safety car come out now, he's kind of forced to pit, but he's forced to pit onto then a two-stop strategy. Because if he takes mediums out, they won't make the end. Hards, I think, also won't really make the end to a point where it's worth staying on them the whole time.
Yeah, the time deficit would just be too much. You could theoretically make it all the way on the hards, but the problem is the time lost would be so great that it wouldn't be of any value. So he has to effectively take that two-stop strategy if a safety car comes out by this point. He's really just banking on having a clean, consistent race, no drama. But Liam Derbicourt is going to be making a move on Max Wiesel and sort of taking my no drama comment and saying, hold my diffuser.
Yeah, as we can see, Key went for a move as well on Max Sidney, but just couldn't quite get it done on the exit. It's also got Danny Hurlton getting in. We got further back. That'll be Lenny Pepinta making a move ahead of Ray Imtiaz. He stops looking to Roddy Dar, but the others ahead seeming to stay on them quite comfortably. Obviously, we know Lenny also has got very high race pace, so we expect him to be quite quick on those hard tyres. Obviously, we can see as well Jan Halliday going for a set of mediums, so we'll see what he chooses to do near the end of the race. Obviously, a bit different to everyone else, completely different to everyone else. One of only 17 to go onto a set of mediums. We don't even see that very often at all. So, yeah, definitely very surprising by the Aston Martin development driver, also racing for TES as well. Further back, Tamas Gal's lost time, hasn't he? He's 29 seconds back from Jerry. It was 27. So, yeah, Township race is pretty much done and dusted without a safety car. He's probably not going to score any points whatsoever tonight. So our championship leader, it's good that all the luck came before he won the championship, because now he's won it, it's fine. This doesn't matter to him. It could have happened last week and it would have terribly ruined his championship run, probably.
Yeah, it really would have put a massive damper on what, at that point, had been one of the best performances that we've seen in PSGL, to be blunt with you. But yeah, I think the confidence has been shaken. I think the race strategy has been thrown completely out of kilter. And at this stage of the race, to have such a setback so early on, in your mind, you've kind of already checked out. You've kind of already conceded that the race is a wash.
Definitely. I think, obviously a safety car is probable, but it's not always the highest probability. You can't really risk a strategy on a safety car. You've just got to, well, if you do, it's probably a little bit of a stupid thing because you don't know the safety car is actually going to come out. So I'd say it's unlikely. Then again, I say that we'll get one.
it's like betting on a lightning strike.
Yes.
It could happen, and it could have some very interesting ramifications, but to bank your entire strategy on that is going to be a very, very risky move and not worth it.
Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't go for it anyway. It's like betting for Birmingham City to win. It doesn't happen. I'll still bet on it, however, but it never happens. So, yes, I'm not doing any betting advertisement. Don't worry, I'm not Stake F1 team kick sober. But yeah, so lap 6 to 29. King going up, losing time. His softs aren't happy. Look at Joris. He's lost 4 tenths. That drop off we know in this game is instant. It hits, and you're like, oh no, I feel like the wheels have fell off. That's how bad the drop off is on this game. Well, maybe not that bad, but it's still not ideal. So now Lillian's gained what, 6 tenths on this last lap to Joris. He's going to pit soon because otherwise he's going to be saying hello to Lillian next lap time. Because by the time Lillian's got back into the second, he'll just drive past Joris, and it'll be like watching an F1 and F2 car battle. Nothing Joris will do. So Lillian now is in a prime position to catch up, get that 1 second, and then, until Joris pits, he's got that buffer of DRS. Max can't get past because he's going to have DRS himself, and then that pretty much makes it kind of like a countback. Nothing's going to happen. No one's going to get an advantage. Further back, we can see moves being made. That's going to be Lekomsky and Gondorp. I saw that one happen in the mirror, and I couldn't quite see what happened, but all I know now is that the McLaren's ahead of the Williams.
Yeah, really pushing, and pushing hard for that matter. I think all the soft runners have done the sort of Oh, they've done the proverbial version of, and this is going to be very, very British, and for our international viewers, I do apologise. This is the equivalent of putting tea trays under the rear wheels of your Volkswagen Polo and ripping the handbrake and taking it around the car park. Those soft tyres are done. They've hit their stride and they've exceeded their comfortable range. So now it's about damage control. It's about what point do they decide to come in, because they are losing time fast. Joris is now within the danger zone.
Yeah, and this is not what Joris needs. Also, it's not what Max needs, because Max is also now going to lose that advantage he has on Lillian with that DRS. Now it's going to just check out. Lillian could just sit behind Joris if he wants to make a move, if not just sit behind and pull himself along into turn one until Joris pits. Once Joris makes a pit stop, that's when it becomes a different story. That's when Lillian at that point is in the worst position, because yet again, it's like he was before, kind of leading the race. He's got no DRS to use. It just allows Max and Daniel all to catch up and make overtakes. As you can see further down, the other Max in the Red Bull as well, sitting in P8, also trying to catch on to the back of Lenny. Jan has also lost some. He's 5.5 tenths back. He knows on mediums he's also losing time, which I wouldn't think could be that probable at this point, but it's showing it's happening. As we can see, Bradley Holdham also look to make a move ahead of Ray Sintias for P10. To take that 1 point away further back, we've got a three-way battle into turn one. So between Liam, Daniel and Jos for P12. Who makes a move? Jos keeps ahead. Liam ahead of Daniel as they exit out to turn 2 and 3. Now we've got Jay Van Bussel looking to close in and try and make an attack. But Daniel's already back on the rear of Liam Stevens in towards turn 4. Can he find a move? No, he can't. Can Jerry find a move ahead of Daniel? Yes, he can. So Daniel Coyne then to P15 after being up in P12 about a lap ago. So not ideal either. As you can see, Lekomsky briefly lost 1 second to Daniel Kjelsen. That is not ideal at all. That also then puts pressure on for Keane and Lenny to catch up. As up further back, we've got Joost Noordijk making absolutely moves through the field. He's named to P11 ahead of Blackbox. Remember, he started P17. He's already in the P11. Could he also be someone we could see contending for a decent point finish tonight?
Yeah, he's certainly got the elbows out, because he's got a point to prove. He had that quali ban. He didn't have a chance to move up the field and set himself in good stead. So now he can see the opportunities. He's pushing up through the rest of the field. He's expending every resource and every inch of the track he can to try and make up for lost time. He's looking at the rest of the field. He's looking at where the battles are, and he's trying to play as slow of a hand as he can, although counterintuitively, him playing his slow hand and rising from the back is going to see him gain one of the biggest deficits, or not deficits, but one of the biggest gains from his start relative to the rest of the field. I think he is, in fact, the biggest gainer. He's +6.
Yeah, definitely. As we can see as well, that'll be Sergio Serena making a move ahead of Daniel Coyer for P15. Those two not having the best races, neither is Sergio. So Daniel down to P16, Sergio into P15. Liam Stevens into P12 ahead of Ray Sintias. His softs have completely died. He tries to stick it back up the inside, but on the exit of turn 2, you can turn 3. You can see he has no grip to do anything whatsoever. So the Mercedes, he's back up into P12 now, trying to fight after Joost Noordijk. Obviously, Liam seems to know yet again. When we say he hasn't had the best season, that's because of what he had in F3. In F3, he was scoring podiums here. He's been scoring P9s, P10s. I think he got a P5 once earlier on in the season. But apart from that, Liam hasn't scored much. So, I think he's definitely a driver that will be here next season, because he's a midfield driver. He can get points on his day. It's just not always probable, and he's always around that P12, P11 area. So we'll see what he can do here tonight in Bahrain. See if he can get himself some points on the final round here of the championship. Back up towards the top. Daniel Kjelsen gaining in on Max Wiesel. Max has dropped back from Lillian. Lillian's comfortably with Joris. We'll see if these two work together. Obviously, we know they're at race watch together. So we'll see what Lillian and Joris can cook up together. Obviously, one of them in the Alpine, one of them in the Mercedes. And obviously, yet again, it's quite funny to say that these two wasn't in F2 until today. Joris won the F4 Championship, Lillian won the F3 Championship, they're now sitting 1-2 in a PC F2 race. Now that makes me think, Krypton and Connor, you might have messed up there with the placements a little bit. Because of those two, realistically, shouldn't be first and second.
Well, it's never a perfect art, is it? And
No.
when you see these drivers, big snap there from Lillian coming on the final corner, as if you cursed them yourself personally. And you bet it's always a good thing to see. We do have to have, I guess sometimes the splits can't always be perfect, but I think the strategic plays are kind of what's setting them apart and what's giving them the shot at the top steps here. Joris, of course, had the masterclass of a start. He pretty much played it perfectly into his hand. Now I think he's overcooked it a little bit on the soft tyres, if I had to give a personal take, just because you can see he's now dropping positions, and that 2-second advantage has all but diminished, if not dropping further down. Pipinta on Godendorp now going for a bit of an attack. They're going to take it to each other through the twisties. They're going to remain very close. Is there going to be a commitment through to turn 8? Not quite. I think Pipinta might have this one.
He did, yeah. Very good defence there from Yoriso and Max. So luckily I got a helicopter view, something we don't normally see. Good camera angles on F123. We don't really hear it, but there again, yet again, the camera angle was brilliant. We could see Joris just have a little bit less grip, but he had that higher top speed in that second phase of the push. And then Max at that point backed out. He thought, no, there's no point. Back out for now. So brilliant there from Joris in that strategy on the worst tyres. And now it also allows Daniel Kjelsen to gain into Max V. So we know as well then to turn 4. He was also kind of looking left, right. Where can I go to make a move? But with those two ahead being side by side, he couldn't really find much happen. So we'll see what he can do. We know Daniel's very quick in the race. He's one of those that I'd say in race pace, probably one of the quickest in the team. We know back in Las Vegas, he started in the top 7, dropped down to the back, finished P2 in the end. His race pace is that good. His race IQ is also very, very good. But now, yes, again, down to turn 1. Max Wiesel gaining in on Joris. Joris gaining in on Lillian, who will make moves into turn 1. You can see the two race coaches moving to the inside to defend from Max. Max sends it up the inside. He sends it up the inside of Lillian this time. So Joris takes the lead. Max into P2. Lillian's going to go back up the outside of turn 3. Max gets chopped off. He can't make anything work down to turn 4. Now Daniel Kjelsen looking to gain in. Can he make a move ahead of Max? No, he can't, because now we've got Max trying to go around the outside of Lillian Derbicourt. Joris blocking them off. The two race coaches doing a brilliant job of defence here so far in the race. We'll see, can Daniel try and inch ahead of Max? No, he can't, but the McLaren right at the back of the Red Bull, and well, not something we hear too often, but the Red Bull starting to kind of be under a bit of pressure here.
Yeah, I think it's actually a smart move not going for any moves through this section, because you know it's very high commitment, very high risk. Really, you want to save any moves you intend to make just coming out of turn 10. Set yourself up with a good exit, maybe take a little bit of a wider line, as we see Kjelsen do. He goes a bit wider on entry in order to get on the power earlier, and I think he's trying to plot himself for that overtake. Of course, the rest of them further up have also got that same DRS that he would have yielded the advantage from.
Indeed, and we'll see what happens yet again down to turn 1. I'm sure we'll see those three at battle again, but obviously Joris doing a very good job with Lillian to defend from the Raging Red Bull of Max Wiesel. Grandpa, as he's more commonly known as, he's on steam anyway, Mr. Grandpa, Mr. Max Wiesel. And he's obviously sitting second in the championship, so we will get that covered easily today. As we can see, Kjelsen moving to the inside, backs out at the last second. Wants to stand a bit of a dummy on the Red Bull to try and catch him off guard. But we know Max has real-life experience in racing. He's not going to be caught off guard by someone making a dummy move in a video game. But Daniel's got some good speed down towards turn 1. He's going to try and pull to the inside of the Red Bull. And we've also got Joris pulling to the inside of Lillian into turn 1. So we know that'll be Lillian at the inside of Joris. Max yet again sends it up the inside of the Mercedes. Coming in towards turns 2 and 3. Lillian ahead of Joris, ahead of Max. Max is going to be at the inside. Can he try and take the lead as he's heading down towards turn 4? He's got a brilliant run along with Daniel Kjelsen pushing the Red Bull down. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Daniel onto the grass, but to the gravel. Sorry, he goes to the inside at turn 4. Max takes the lead. Joris into second. Lillian having a bit of a barge there with Daniel through towards turns 4 and 5. Max just get it ahead, and then we've got Lillian of the inside, has a bit of contact, and he's spun round. No, he's just gone off circuit along with Daniel Kjelsen. That puts Lukomski now to P4 with Lenny Pipinta in the top 5 as well. We knew it had happened at one point, and at turn 6, that's where the carnage unfolds.
Yeah, he just got caught up in a little bit of an incident there, because, yeah, Lillian just a bit of a snap coming down, I think that was, say, turn 6, and that little wiggle put him offline, had to force him to take a wider line, and that, in turn, put Kjelsen straight off track. Unfortunate for him. He did recover well. He's into P6. Doesn't look to be reading any damage, but is still going to be damage to the Pride.
Indeed, and two drivers that has helped is Lukomski and Pipinta now sitting in P4 and P5. Pipinta's got some brilliant pace on the exit there, turn 14 to turn 15. We can see the cars will follow each other down in towards turn number 14. We can see that'll be Lillian there on the back of the Mercedes. Didn't go for a move, but was very close to doing so. Now we'll see. Back down towards turn 1. Can Lillian use Joris to have a bit of double slipstream on Max and then get the move in towards turn 1? We'll see. As we can see, Lillian to the inside of Joris. We can see further back, we've got Pipinta arguing with Daniel Kjelsen. Lillian takes P2. Joris down to P3. Daniel into P5 ahead of Lenny. Bit of contact. Oh, dear me. There's nearly 3 wide. Joris will make a mistake into turn 1 because now Joris is there with Lenny, Daniel, Max, all looking to gain in and make moves into turn 4. We're going 3 wide into the 4th corner. Joris into P3 still. Lenny Pipinta looking to gain in. Can't make a move there. Lukomski around the outside. Daniel Kjelsen sticking his nose into turn 4 as well. He couldn't find a way past the other McLaren as they head through in towards turn 6. And then we've got Gross Pointer and Halliday also sitting right behind in this battle, along with Bradley and Yost, the top 10 all within pretty much 2 seconds of each other from P3 down. We can see Holden there making a move on Yost Nordreich, at least all trying to defend a move from Nordreich, because Jan Halliday was looking to get himself past Max Grosspoint towards turn 8, and still sappy. That middle sector is causing absolute carnage. Daniel nearly taps the back of his teammate in towards turn 10.
Yeah, the tensions are high, the speeds are even higher, and everyone is just hungry to get past and get themselves into a bit of clean air. I think that's all they want at this point. Forget the positions. They just want some clean air. They want to be under no threat from other drivers in the immediate vicinity. Like Yeltsin, he's just trying to get away from Gross Pointer. He wants to get past his teammate and get himself back up into that podium fight, of course, but as long as Gross Pointer's on his tail, and the same you could say for Jan Halliday against Bradley Hold'em, same you could say for Pinter and Joris, they just want the ability to plan their next move, but they're having to play super defensive. Joris is finally going to head into the pits, though, after 12 laps of those softs and really wringing the pace out of them.
Yeah, and I could see there Max having a bit of a wiggle there to Lynn to say, stay back, work together, keep Lenny behind. You can see Lenny Pepinta 9/10 back after that little battle as now. Daniel still fighting with Max Grosspointer down at turn 1 and 2, and it seemed to think for a second Max got himself ahead, but Daniel got the move back ahead down towards turn number 4. So still the top 3. Max Wiesel from Lillian Derbical, in from Lenny Pepinta, then the 2 McLaren sitting 4th and 5th, followed by Max and Jan in the top 7. Obviously, you know, Jan Halliday on the mediums. We'll see what strategy he chooses to go into. Once he gets off of those tyres, we can see, obviously, Keen went to the pits along with Joris, Blackbox and Daniel Corr. Didn't catch those going to the pits, as I was keeping that battle on, keeping my eye on the battle for P3 downwards. So we can see Joris there come out 3.8 seconds back from Kean. That undercut has worked heavy for Keen, but he has pitted lap 12. He was taking those mediums 17 laps, which by the end of the race, he'll be absolutely dropped because his tyres will be dead. So we'll see what Keane can do. He can still recover it, but I don't think it'll be the most likely of him taking that lead like he's currently sitting at the moment. Obviously, further back, we've got Racing Tez and Daniel Coy there, really far back from Joris, so I can't see them really hunting for much in this race at all. But you never know, safety cars, anything could happen, crashes, it can all unfold and cause people to take positions that they didn't quite expect to be taken in a race. But yet again, down towards turn 14 for the 14th time, it's Max Wiesel in from Lillian. We'll see if any moves are traded down towards turn 1. If there is any moves, it will just be the fact that they can defend from Lenny. There's no point Lillian sitting behind if Lenny can just gain a 10th as actually. Max goes into pits, very early pit stop from Max, along with one of the McLarens, that'll be Lekomsky. Into the pit so very early there, Sappy. Why do you think they're going in so early? Because surely that's a long way to take a set. I mean, wouldn't you want to go a little bit longer and have fresher tyres towards the end?
I'd actually say that this is probably about the optimal time you want to get on the mediums. You come to the halfway point of the race, you're going to have the maximum stint available for the medium to keep on pace. Any shorter or any longer, and you would risk either the tyres being cooked or the tyres just not having that full shelf life before they outstay their welcome. So I think right now, the sooner you can get off hards, the better. And being on these mediums, getting some heat into them ASAP, as you see, Joris and Grandpa, aka Max Wiesel, being reunited. Joris is going to take it initially because they, of course, have got the tyres up to temp. But I think this is the optimal time where you want to be switching those compounds.
Indeed, and everyone let us know in the chat who you think will take the victory here in this race. Got lots of Joris, Kian, Max, Shimon, Lillian, Lenny, Daniel, all here fight for the victory, possibly in this race. So many drivers that can take it away. Let us know in the chat in YouTube and Twitch who you think will take victory here tonight. As we get to a bit of calmer point in the race, we'll have a little look through what people's predictions are. I saw someone put Halliday, but I believe that was written a little bit earlier on. Obviously, Yanni, well, he could win it, but I don't think it's going to be very likely in this race. So, what's that? 14 laps left to go in this 29-lap race, and as I said, we can't really predict who will win. So many drivers have the chance, so many different strategies going on. Yeah, it's rare for once to say we can't call a winner, because all need to say, oh yeah, well, he's leading by 4 seconds, he's going to win it. Today, there's so many drivers that can win, as Lenny Pepinta enters into the pits along with Snowdike, along with Liam Stevens as well, making their pits onto a set of medium tyres. We'll see, actually, if anyone goes for a set of softs. So maybe some of those like Jerry and Sergio, being as they've been quite near the back, they could go for a set of softs and just see what happens at the end. I know they're not going to fight for points, so go a bit longer and see what happens is what I'll probably do there.
Yeah, well, they can certainly decline the fastest lap point if they get a really good run on those soft tyres, don't forget. So it's either going to be a point for them if they're within the top 10, or damage control against the rest of the field if they don't. So it's a little bit of a strategic plate there. I'm keeping my eye personally on Leon Derbicourt and thinking about this where we said earlier about the F4, F3, F2. I think the big differentiator in a lot of these placements and a lot of these tiers is, while you have the pace, it's sometimes about the application and about the strategy you use. Like, I've been looking on board with Derbicourt's ERS, and I've noticed a lot of the time they've been sitting at 100%. And it's things like that sometimes that you can maybe just not fully optimizing everything and giving it absolutely all of your sort of attack, where sometimes it doesn't always need it. I think that's sort of the differentiator to an extent. Is of course they have a brilliant pace as they're putting on display today. That is not in question. It's more, I think, as well as having your one lap pace when you do your trials, it's also taking into considerations like, right, how well can they optimize their pace? How can they do over a race stint? And that's where you see the sort of true talents and colors of racers come out.
Indeed, as we can see there, 5 drivers into pits: Lillian, Daniel, Max, Jan and Sergio, meaning Joe Van Bussel takes the lead on lap 17 of 29. He'll be having to obviously go back into the pit, so that lead won't last very long, probably no more than 3 or 4 laps. Here as Jan Halliday onto a set of soft, so medium soft here for Jan. Go for the softest strategy possible here in this race, as Bradley Holden takes the fastest lap there on his new set of meters with a 1 minute 30.323. Max Wiesel gaining in on Joris again into turn 1, no moves being made, we can see. All these drivers head at the pits will go on board with Max, so you can see them all flying through. And luckily, representations of 2016. I think was one of the I think was it Lance Stroll or something who ended up getting flipped upside down or something at Bahrain when one exited the pits. I remember that happening, and luckily that didn't happen today. Last night in PCF1 at Canada, it happened at the Wall of Champions. Thomas Ronhart took a trip to the sky briefly. That wasn't a very ideal scenario, but tonight we haven't had that happen so far. So I don't think we'll see any flying cars. I don't think we'll see any cars set on fire. I think for once we might have a carnageless Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm saying that in hopes that something happens.
I see. You're trying to apply it strategically. Apply the curse. Well, here we go. We've got Nordic, and Derbicourt, and that Alpine. As you can see, this is the difference between having tyres up to temp versus too fresh. As Nordic, he practically made mincemeat of that Alpine through that DRS zone and through the following couple of corners. The tyres are going to be up to temp by now, but Derbicourt's got half a second to make up again.
Yeah, and that is, well, quite a lot of time, depending what driver you are. For Lillian, it might be a little bit less, but other drivers, that would be like 5/10, really. Yeah, they'd definitely be not happy with that. But back at the lead, it's still Keane ahead of Joris. And actually, that gap between Keane and Joris isn't really coming down that quick. So maybe Keane could have this race win covered. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's possible because he's not losing that much time. He's only on 2 lap all the time. So we'll see what happens towards the end. When we see the likes of Lillian, Lenny, Joost, obviously Jan as well. We'll see what they can do when they start to try and fight up through the field. As someone said in the chat, why is Gall in F2? Because he started in F2. He's too good for F2 in my opinion, but he's still here and he's here for the final race, but it hasn't been too well. He had contact on lap 1 and 2, got damaged, went back into the pits. Yes, he was in PCF1 last round, but that's because he stepped in as reserve. Obviously, he can do that sometimes. He won't always do it, but if they need someone, they'll be like, right, Thomas, go, you won PCF2, have a shot in F1. As we can see, yes, again, only Pinter gaining in on Hold'em, who's also had a recovery with that pit stop, hasn't he? Because he was a little bit further down the grid. He's now in P6 with only 1 lap older tyre than Pinter, but then again, it's not going to face Pinter too much. He's going to look for him into turn 11. No, he backs off at the last second. Jan Halliday on those softs makes a move to top 10, and surely, Sappy, by the end, those softs will be absolutely fighting for their life.
Well, I know that Jan Halliday is going to have quite the battle ahead of him, not in terms of on-track, but in terms of resource conservation. Yeah. Those tyres, he's going to have to nurse them a little bit. He can't be too aggressive with his inputs. He needs to be progressive with his steering in order to prevent as much scrub as possible. I know that Jan Halliday has done more unorthodox strategies before. He has pushed very soft compounds to very high distances in the past. And you can see there, he's certainly putting the pace side of things to good use with a 29.4 fastest lap of the session. It's going to be a tough one, and you can see a bit further behind, that is going to be a big battle that's about to unfold. Let's see if Jan Halliday gets caught up in it.
Indeed, we'll see what happens. We can see further back there. We've got a 3-1 battle between Max, Daniel and Black boxing towards turn 4. Max goes to the middle, was on the outside now. He tries to make the move, gets ahead of the Alfa Romeo slightly as they head through, or should say probably the Stake F1 team kick Sauber as they head into turn 6. And we can see Max getting in on Daniel. Down in P16, we've got the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team driver, Joe Van Bussel. Obviously not having the most ordinary race. He's been to the pits, so he's going to have new tyres than many others. So we'll see if he can try and claw anything back in this race, but I don't think it will be that likely. Further ahead, yet again, Pinter close to Holden, but can't find a move. As you say, normally it's close, but no cigar. I don't know why, but I love that saying. And every chance I can, I will always say it. I don't know what it is about certain sayings, but I love them. And that is one.
Everyone has their favourite saying. I mean, no dice, no cigar, not quite cutting the mustard. It's all down to personal preference. I mean, the one that I always love is when I see a driver go for a move and then get annoyed when another driver the following lap gets that same move done on them. It's like the perfect example, pot kettle black. It's like you dish it, you're going to take it at some point. And we're going to see here, I think we've gone a couple of moves potentially shaking up. Lenny Papinta is going to poke his head to the right side of Bradley Hold'em. He's not quite going to go for a move. I think he's just trying to gauge and build a little bit of pressure. But you see that Lilian Derbicourt is going to be firing it down the outside. Papinta is going to be dropped down. What was that?
Whoa, what a move there from Lilian. He went from P8 to P6 in 2 corners. Then he's going to go back to the inside. Can Lenny fight it back? He's going to go for it. He can't. And we can actually, he's going to keep it alongside, isn't he? He's head through into turn 6, but no, nothing he can do there. Lilian Derbicourt into turn 1, round the outside of Yost. I thought, actually, you know what? You've got a bit of space. We'll break later. We'll go around the outside of Lenny Papinta while getting back up the inside at turn 3. Brilliant move there from Lilian on his debut here in PCF2. Remember, he hasn't raced here before, but he has won the championship in F3, so we know he's worthy of a spot here in F2. Jan Halliday now into P8, right behind is Aston Martin teammate of Lenny's. Well, he gets overtaken by Yost through there. So the two Aston Martins split again by the Haas. As Jan, well, yet again makes a move again. Yet again, those two just swapping for position down towards turn number 11. Further up, we can see Lilian start to gain in on Bradley. Now he's been unleashed from Lenny. I could see him actually being a very probable chance of winning this race. Bradley Hold'em with a 3-second penalty. That's pretty much ruined his chance of points here tonight, as that would have been down all the way down to probably around P13. So that could be it for Bradley Hold'em in this Bahrain Grand Prix in terms of scoring points. We're on for a P5, now on for a P13, P14. Big shame for Hold'em. But now we can see Derbicourt gaining in as they head back down towards turn 1. Papinta also moving out that slipstream as well to cool down his engine as they head down to turn 1. But yet again, you can see Lilian just sorry that'll be Bradley pulling the inside. That'll also be Max taking P2. Joris going to be fighting with Lukomsky for P3. Bradley gaining in as well. They're all going side by side to turn 1. Who will take P2? It'll be Max ahead of Joris, ahead of Shimon, ahead of Lilian Derbicourt as he's gone yet again round the outside of a driver at turns 1 and 2 and 3. He's going to get himself into P5 ahead of Bradley Hold'em. Can he keep the move done into turn 4? Yes, he can. Now Papinta looking to gain in. He's going to go up the inside of the Ferrari. Can't make a move there. He's going to be stuck still behind as they come through in towards turn 6 and 7. Now we've also got further back Daniel Hjelten fighting with Max and Yosh. Yes, again, these three still not done with that battle pretty much for P9.
It's going to be really a tough battle. I'm looking at Jan Halliday right now. I'm just keeping an eye on him because, of course, he is a soft runner in a sea of mediums. And he hasn't had that opportunity to stretch his legs. I don't think that he's necessarily extracted the most out of his strategy like he originally intended. He's been stuck in traffic. He's been trying to get round. I mean, especially his battle with Jus Nordijk has been a death nail for a strategy because he was fighting with him for so long. And every time he got caught up in that battle, he had to take different positions. He had to readjust his lines. That's wear on the tyres that he cannot afford.
Indeed, and I think, when it comes to tyres, I'd say sometimes tyres can be more than pace. Because we know so many races that get decided over the tyre wear, not actually the race pace. Every driver in here is probably within a couple of tenths of each other in the race pace. It's all about how you can deal with strategy in the tyres mainly, and also that race IQ. So I'd say in this level, pace doesn't matter as much. I know it sounds weird to say, but I don't think it does personally. And I'll get hated for that because I know other drivers will disagree. But then again, it's down to opinion, what you think's better and what you think's worse. Lilian to P4 ahead of Lukomsky makes himself in. I don't think anything can stop Lilian here. I think he's going to be on for the race win now because look at his tyres compared to Joris, Max, and Kian. He's got 3 lap better than Joris, 2 lap better than Max, 5 lap better than Kian. I can't see him being stopped here in this race.
Yeah, I'm wrapping back to what you said about the sort of pace comment. The thing with F2 is that pace is no longer exception. Amazing pace is the rule. So what differentiates you is that strategy, is that micromanagement, macromanagement, understanding your opponents and how to outplay them in the mind as well as on the track. That's where the skill lies. That's where the real racecraft lies. And as we've seen with the likes of Derbicourt moving up, is that they certainly proved that on pace they can hold their own.
Yeah, definitely. As we can see further battles happening, we got Gross put at the inside of Nordijk in towards Senna. We don't often see moves through that part of the circuit. Nordijk goes a little bit wide, gets sent wide by Max. He's now going to be sitting just ahead of Liam Stevens as they come through. So Gross Pointer into the top 10, hasn't scored points yet this season, but remember, he did get a podium back in E2, so we know he's got the pace. He'll be fighting for the top positions. Further ahead, Derbicourt, he's going to look for a move on Joris into turn 14. Surely not. No, he doesn't. He backs off. He wants to get the move down to turn 1. These two, we know whether they did it on purpose or not, they worked together in that first part of the race. Now, Lilian's gaining in. He's going to look for the move for P3 as they head down to turn 1. We got Hold'em as well, looking through him for P6. He's phasing inside of Lukomsky as they head through into turn 1. That's not ideal at all between the two. As you can see, Lillian to the inside makes a move into P3. Lillian Debecourt into the podium positions here in this race now. He's got to get through Max Wiesel, then Keane Gondup. Keane's now lost that gap between him and Max. He's now within a second, meaning Max will fly past when he needs to make the moves. I think Keane can still be on for a top 3 here if he plays his cards right. Further back there, so that's Pepinta making a move that will be ahead of Jan Herde. Jan's going to be on the outside. He's also going to be trying to fight with the Ferrari of Hold'em as they head through towards this next section. You can see Jan gets himself ahead of Lenny Pepinta, but when is it going to be when his tyres start to run? Because his tyres also are on that kind of lifeline of eventually they will drop, and they will drop hard. As we can see, Yeltsin now ahead of Pepinta. Max Grossporter gaining in. Honestly, I've never seen such an action-packed Bahrain Grand Prix ever on the grid. This move's being made.
Yeah, moves being made up and down the field. Yeltsin and Pepinta, they're locked in a heated drag race as you come out turn 10. They want to get the edge on the other. Whoever has the left side is going to be the one in dominance. It looks like it's going to be Yeltsin. Has the apex, but can he get the power out through on Jan Halliday? That's the question. I don't know if he has. Jan Halliday can, of course, hang it a little bit tighter to the inside. Careful proximity. Don't want to be making more contact, as we've already seen a couple of bumps between the two Aston Martins and the McLaren being sandwiched between the two. But Max Grossporter is also going to be one to watch, because I think we're going to see a big swing coming from him next lap.
Yeah, we can see what he can do. He's right on the back of Lenny as they exit out of turn 14. He's kept right with Pepinta as they head down, but I want to look back at the front, because we can see Max Wiesel gaining in, pulls to the inside, takes the lead away from Keane Goldup on lap 24-29. Then Lillian Debecourt is going to try and gain in. He wants to get past Keane ASAP. Keane's tyres are slower. We know that he'll be dropped by Max soon, so Lillian needs to make the overtake. And then we got further back. We still got Yeltsin fighting with Jan Halliday along with Lenny Pepinta again, down towards turn 4. Who makes a move this time? As you can see, Jan to the outside, tries to force a move, couldn't do so. Brilliant defence there from the McLaren. Now we've got Pepinta, better grip on the exit at turn 4. Going to go to the inside at turn 6. Can he make the move ahead of Jan? Oh, very close to contact, but Jan keeps himself ahead, but he goes deep. That allows Lenny to get a good run in towards turn 8 to make the move into the chicane, into the head, but no, he can't because Max Grossporter's there. They go 3-1 on the exit. It'll be Max ahead of Lenny, ahead of Max, as they, ahead of Daniel, sorry, as they head through down. And well, I couldn't quite get my words there because I didn't know who's ahead of who. There was going 3-4 wide out of turn 8. That's not normally what we see, but yet again here in this Bahrain Grand Prix,
we've got this massive battle, P7 through P10.
Yeah, every single lap there's something going on, isn't there?
It's just something going on all across the track. So Sergio Sobrino's even getting his nose involved. As you can see, he's just a couple of tenths behind Jan Halliday, now down to P10. Everyone is looking for a piece of the pie. Points are still on the table, and points could mean a big difference for some championship placings, even at this stage.
Definitely, I think obviously we know that people are quite close in championship battles, apart from those in P4 down, apart from those P3 upwards. So we'll see what those championship battles can do and what moves we can see people make in those different positions. Further back, we can see Jerry Van Bussel ahead of Liam Stevens. Joe Snorrock gaining in to get himself ahead of Liam. He's also not had the most optimum strategy so far in this race. Moved himself up into the top 10, had a pit stop, now down to P14, and hasn't really found his foot since then in making moves. We can see Yost pulls out. We could see Liam look for a move, but had to back off there into turn 1 behind Jerry Van Bussel. Further up, we can see now Jan Herde. I think it'll be time soon before when we see him start to drop down, because his tyres are dropping. He was in the top 5, now down to P10. He's got Sergio gaining in, who's in P11. Jerry Van Bussel as well. He could also be on for points here in this race. He went for a heavy overcut, wasn't in really contention for much, so we could see him be here fighting for a point or two in this race. Further ahead, we got yet again Max Grossporter looking to get himself ahead of Daniel Kjellson. Couldn't do so there. He's 4 tenths back as they exit into turn 8, down towards turns 9 and 10, and still Hold'em with that penalty. Everyone going in, and he'll be down to P15 by the time he ends this race. So a big shame for Hold'em now. If there's anyone he can work with here in this race, he might as well do it now, because he knows he's not going to score much here. So if you know someone who you want to help them, because nothing else is going to happen in this race. So we can see further up yet again, Gondup hasn't really been dropped though by Max here. Even though the tyres are different, he's kept with him quite well, so Keane could still, I think, with Lillian and Yaris behind on an attacking charge, I think Keane could probably drop down to P4. I think he could still take a P4 in this race, which would be very good for him, because he'd then launch himself even further away from the guy in P4 in the championship, but still keep with Max in P3. So either way, I think Keane Gondup, in my eyes, it's hard to call who you would say is the driver of the season, because I would say it's between Tamas, Kian, and Max. I know it's the top 3, but it's hard to say who else it could be. But I don't know which one it is, because they've both excelled in different areas. And I would say I'm more tempted to say Keane is my driver of the season, because I know Max and Tamas are quick. But I don't want to devalue someone else's race because they're quicker, in a way, or because they're more known. I don't know. It's hard to call who it is. Who would you say, Sappy? You've been here for 3 rounds. Who would you say has been your driver of the 3 races you've been here, I should say?
I would have to sort of run counter to what you've said regarding pace because at the end of the day, this is a racing league and one of the most competitive racing leagues on the F1 league calendar at that. So just by pace alone, as well as seemingly being able to pull it out the bag with minimal adjustment, Tamash is going to be my one. It honestly, for me, is fairly undisputed because we had, of course, that amazing stint in the latter half of the season, and they just consistently, with the exception of tonight, where I think just the foot is off the pedal. He doesn't need to push as hard, so I don't think he was giving it 110% like he has in other times. But he's shown that he can consistently one-up himself, one-up the competition. He knows exactly how to bring himself to a fight. He's proven strategically and pace that he's got what it takes.
Indeed.
He's got what it takes.
Indeed, Grossport was looking to make a move ahead of Daniel in towards turn 14. Daniel had a very poor exit as Van Bussel now into the points. Van Bussel's into the points ahead of Jan Harday, and this strategy has worked heavily for the AlphaTauris. We can see they head back down to turn 1. Does Keane launch an attack on Max? He's gaining in, but it's not enough to make a move. I'm starting to think, where's Lillian going to go for it? Because he needs to. Otherwise, he's not going to take a win here, and I think as much as we shouldn't say he's going to be fighting for a win as he's in F3 normally, he's in a position to fight for it. I think he's got more than enough pace, strategy, IQ to go for it. So, yeah, I think he needs to get past Keane as soon as possible. Otherwise, he's going to lose that chance of a victory here tonight. Joris Krozen as well. He's now starting to lose back from the likes of Lillian, Keane and Max. So I think he's going to be comfortable with the P4 if he can keep it. Obviously, he's going to be having to defend from those behind because obviously Lukomsky, Holder and Daniel will be looking to close in soon because you can see they're starting to close in on the race cut show, but just not quite enough to make an overtake. Yes, so we can see this time though, Lillian is closer to Keane than ever before.
I think Keane was really banking on the two race clutches of Lillian and Joris, seeing if they would fight. If they kept the close proximity, they would have fought with each other, and that would have been all of the timing window that Keane needs to secure a P2 finish. But obviously now that's not coming to be the case. Joris is almost a second behind, and Lillian is now breathing down his neck, just a quarter of a second split the two. So Keane's going to have to really pull out all the stops. Luckily, I think he's put a lot of his resources in reserve for this occasion, and he can still rely on Max Wiesel to get a bit of a tow.
Well, we look at battery-wise. Max is on about 70%. Keane matching that, but Lillian's on about 50%. So he's got less battery to use, and he's got to use more to get past. We can see him head down towards turn 1 now. He's closing in on the back of Gondorp. Can he make a move for P2? Because Gondorp's going to make a move for P1. Who will take P1? Who will take P2? Who will take P3? He's ahead into that first corner. Gondorp to the outside of Max. Can't find a way through there. He's going to try to get up the inside. This is allowing for Lillian to try and make a move. He taps the back of Keane as they come through that. Could have ended in a big spin, but he keeps it going there. He got caught off guard by the Williams going slow as they head up towards turn 4. Further back, we've got moves happening. We've got Lukomsky, Tommy Holden fighting with Yeltsin in towards turn 4. Actually, Lillian's got the move ahead of Keane and the exit of turn 4. I didn't quite see that one coming. I thought that battle was done and dusted, but now Lillian is back into that position to be fighting for the lead on the last lap of the race. It's the F2 runner-up versus the F3 champion, fighting for an F3 win here today in PCF2, or should I say tonight here in PCF2. Further back, look at Lukomsky. He's lost that 1 second to the top 4, so now he is pretty much out of this battle for the top 3. We've got Bradley, Daniel, Max, Lenny all keeping in contention to try and fight for this. Halliday's nothing done with his points here tonight. He's still dropping back further and further with those 11 lap mediums. So going to the final lap, who do you think it'll be, Sappy? Let us know in the chat as well. Who do you think it will be, guys, who takes that P1 here tonight?
I think Max is looking really strong. I think he does have the position and the wherewithal to keep that spot, purely because I am trying to sort of read what's happening here. I think that Lillian's going to go for it into turn 1, and I think Max is immediately going to try and clap back heading into turn 4. I think he's reserved his pace, he's reserved his ERS for just the occasion. He's looked at the battle behind them, he's saying, like, right, those two are going to be tired out. Keane's just had a massive extend. He's going to be getting a warning, but luckily he's got no other warnings to his name, so he's safe for now. But here we go. Lillian Derbacourt is going to be going for the move. They're going to be pushing. They're not going to quite secure it, though. Tap on the rear from Keane. Is there going to be any damage on Keane's car? He's certainly looking like he's dropped a bit of pace, but Lillian, attempt 2, getting the DRS once again, but Max, thinking on his feet, thinking on his toes, goes to the inside. Again, contact between the two, a little bit of a tap sideways, heavy on the curbs, a little bit risky, 3 seconds! 3-second time penalty. That is a death nail to your race effort if I've ever seen one. But Lillian's not done yet. They've said they're going to go for it regardless. They've got a point to prove. They should show that they've got it to hang with the rest of them. And a big send into turn 8. Not securing the position, but pushing nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think Max have got to Lillian's head. He wants that position back down to turn 11. Can Lillian give anything else to Max Feast as they head into the corner? He's going to have to pull to the inside. He does pull, but he pulls back out as they head through towards turn 11. Now Keane going up also sitting behind with Joris Krozen as well for P3 and P4. But I don't think Lillian can do anything to Max Feasel here.
No battery. Goose is cooked.
And
no
a bit
battery.
And a bit of battery. And he goes for a send into turn 14. Max goes deep as well. Max got caught off guard by Lillian's send. Gondor goes off the circuit as they head down to turn 14. What can Krozen do? Can he try and find a move on this final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix? 4 of them, 5 victories. It's going to be Yost to the inside of Keane going up into turn 14. Can he find a move for the podium? They go side by side. And I think for the race, it'll be Max Feasel who takes victory in Bahrain. Lillian finishing in second, but drops down to a penalty, promoting Keane to second and Joris into third position. What a finale that was in PCF2, and it'll be our F4 champion on the podium here for the first time in PCF2. And Lillian, who was meant to be for P, who was fighting for the lead, got into a bit of contact with Matt. They both got a bit hot-headed, and Lillian ended up with a penalty, finished in P7, 7,000s back from Daniel Kierson. But what that could have been for Lillian could have been mental for him and definitely in the race, but we'll see what happens afterwards. But it'll be Max ahead of Kian, ahead of Joris, and if it's not going to be Tamas winning, it'll be Max Wiesel.
And what a final run it was. And this is where you see the separation. Max kept his head cool. He knew exactly what he needed to do. He didn't let the tension of the moment get to him, as we saw it get to Lillian in the same way. And that's what secured him the win. They both had the pace. They both had the strategy. But that level-headedness, that ability to control the situation, that's what separated it tonight.
Yeah, it was that final lap was brilliant, and you could see. I think Lillian at one point he got annoyed at turn 4, didn't he? He got very annoyed because he actually backed off into turn 1. I think he wanted to get the run down towards turn 4, so Max couldn't use his battery. Went for that. Turn 4, bit of contact. Lillian's like, no, I'm not having this. So went for a move into turn 8. I think that was a little bit too of a send from Lillian there. Into turn 14, did the same thing again. This time, he ended up having to back out because Max thought, oh no, he's going to be behind me. Move. He couldn't do anything, so he ended up going slow. Meaning Keane and Joris was like, right, we'll try and make a move. Keane went off circuit, down towards turn 14. Joris went for a send up, and well, these two for F3 and F4, they're a force to be reckoned with if they're here next season. I think those are two drivers who can fight for a championship. But we can see the finalised classification here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's Max Wiesel who takes the victory ahead of Keane Gold, who started P11. I said it'd work, and it did. He finished second there from P11 on the grid. Ahead of Joris in third, and we've got Simon Komsky in P4. Max Grosspointer in the top 5. Much needed points for him to secure his spot here next season if he wants to sign up again. Then you've got Kjelsen in P6, Lillian in P7, Lenny P8, Jerry Van Bussel in P9 after a strategy I said wouldn't work. Well done to him, and Sergio Sobrino rounded out the top 10. Then we had Bradley Holden with that penalty dropping down. Aluggi and Halliday, Black Box, Daniel Kerr. Then obviously we had Tamas Gell who had a penalty, contact on lap 1. Got the fastest lap, but no points for him tonight, along with Liam Stevens, Jost Roik in the top 17. And well, what that race was, it was brilliant. And I think for Bahrain, that was a spectacle. We don't normally see the best racing in Bahrain, I'll be honest, but that was absolutely brilliant. And I would have asked for a better race to end it off. And only if that was for a championship, it would have meant so much more. And I will still say that championship should be crowned on the final race, not the race before, because that could have been brilliant. But no.
That was still an amazing show tonight. It was an amazing show of racing prowess. It was an amazing show of racecraft, of wittiness, of being able to adapt on the fly. It was all on full display. It was all out there tonight. The drivers did what they did best. They put it all out on the track. They said, right, this is where we settle our rivalries, championship or not. And boy, did they settle things.
They did indeed. I'm going to see if we can get anyone for an interview. Max, Joris, or Kian. We'll see if we can get them in for one last interview. And we'll see. And I'm sure there'll be some arguments in the chat there. Many people saying GG, so maybe it's not too... Yeah. I put interviews and Max puts interview. Yes, Max, we know. We'll give you an interview. Join the waiting room and we'll get you in. We're going to pop onto the interview screen there. I think he likes interview, Max does. But then again, don't all the old people like a good chat. So it makes sense, doesn't it? We'll wait for him to join the waiting room and we'll get ourselves underway with Max. And yeah, we'll see if we can hear possibly from Keane or Yosi. I haven't heard from those two this season. We haven't heard from Yosi because he hasn't been here this season. So we'll pop ourselves on the interview screen just for a second so I can drag people out with leaking the Discord, because it wouldn't be a very good idea, especially now we're on both YouTube and Twitch. 2 platforms, and I think it's gone brilliantly. Let us know in the chat how the quality has been for both. I believe it has been fine, which is a good which is a very good thing. And well, hopefully next season we can continue both over on Twitch and YouTube. I think it's been very successful so far. So we thank everyone who's joined on Twitch and we thank everyone who's joined on YouTube. But we're not ending just yet because we need to wait if we can hear from Mr. Max Weasley himself. He said he's going to have an interview, but he hasn't joined the waiting room.
I'm just excited because we're gonna
There he
properly
is.
invest into emotes. That means, and I for one am
Yes!
excited.
That's going to be very good. I love an emote. So, Max, hello, welcome in.
Hello. Hi.
So, race victory, but that last lap, it got very tasty, didn't it, between you and Lillian? Would you like to explain what kind of happened throughout that whole final part of the race?
Yeah, I was surprised to hold it on the main straight. Maybe he was in lower battery than I was. Or maybe I was just a bit lower on wings. I lowered the wings quite a bit after the qualifying. So yeah, that could be the point. And then yeah, I think it was quite intense, but it was more or less completely clean. I was yeah, I would not say I was surprised because that sounds really bad in a live stream. But I was quite happy that he took it also clean. I mean, we had a little contact into the penultimate corner, which I just closed it on. He was already on the way to move into. So, I mean, that can happen. But I think that was pretty clean, and victory is not a bad ending for the season.
Oh, definitely not. I think it's the best way to end it off. And I believe you told us last time you're not going to be joining us next season, are you?
Mate, that was way too fast. Bit slower, please. Thank you. I repeat it, man. that was just too fast. Okay, mate.
Right, so obviously, well, I was going to say what's going to happen next week, but we're not here next week at all. So this season, how do you think it's gone in your eyes? Do you think it's gone well? Do you think it could have gone better?
Overall, I think if you end up P2 in more or less the highest tier in the World Apart esport, you can't say it was a shit season. To be honest, Thomas was better over the season, so I think that it's definitely deserved that he won the title and not me. I think that's not even on, maybe not on one lap pace, but at the end he was a bit smarter with racecraft, with strategies, with overall. So that's the reason why he deserved it. And at the end, it's more or less perfect. Of course, I got one or two contacts there. Yeah, there was no need to get them, but P2 is great, and I take this definitely. Yeah.
Indeed. So, to the oldest man in the league, well done on P2. Anything from you, Sappy?
I just wanted to know, like, what your perspective was heading into the race, and if there was a turning point where you've not decided, but if there was a point where you realized that you were going to win it.
To be honest, I was a bit stressed, or maybe not stressed, but just the first 6, 7, 8 laps. The setup felt horrible. To be honest, I did, believe it or not, exactly 3 laps in race. So I just did once after a quali lobby a few laps. The hard stint was horrible. After this, I felt really to get a nice balance in the car, and also my pace, I think, was getting better and better on the medium stint. And after, like, when we go into the last 4 or 5 laps, I had a feeling with Kian also as a little, gap between me and Lillian to win it. So maybe not before the last 5, 6 laps.
There you go. Well, I'd say you did amazingly well tonight, mate, and throughout the entire season as a whole. So, regardless of next steps, you've done amazingly. You can give yourself a pat on the back.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Thanks, guys, for streaming.
No problem. I hope to, well, I'm sure I'll see you somewhere soon. So, yeah, have a good one, Max.
Yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
And we'll move ourselves back over to the intermission screen. We have our interviews completed, and we couldn't see either Joris or Kian in there, and it should load over soon. There we can see. So, also, I don't know why my camera's so zoomed in tonight. It's zoomed in more than it should be. But, well, it comes to the end of what has been a great season. Obviously, at the start, there was many people battling for the championship. We've got down and down and down, and at one point it was Max versus Tamash, and could have gone so far around, it didn't. Tamash took it in round 10 at Britain, and I think this season on a whole has been very good. It's been my best season F2, and I've been here for 3 seasons, so I think that definitely says something. Obviously, I've been joined by Dan for half of the season. He was a stream controller. He gave me the relaxed job of just sitting there and talking. Now, since he went off to PCF1, I've had to do all the technical stuff, which hasn't been fun, because I've had to spend a lot more time trying to figure things out that I didn't need to know before. But we've got through it fun. We've had some hiccups through there, but obviously it's also been great to be joined by Sappy and Tyrman throughout the very part of the season. I think overall it's been an absolutely mega season of PSGL. I think on a whole, I think the viewership's been brilliant over all the tiers. I think the interaction between everyone in all the tiers have been brilliant. I've seen so many conversations in PCF2 which we haven't seen before. Drivers just having conversations and stuff like that. It's been really good for interaction between the fans and everything in PSGL. So yeah, I think PSGL's only going to get upwards, onwards and upwards, obviously, as well. Sim Racing Centre recently signed with us as a sponsor partner, whatever you want to call it, obviously, along with GT Omega. So, yeah, that's all from me pretty much, apart from saying thank you to everyone who's joined us. Sappy, any last words from you here?
Just that it's been an absolute corker of the season. Even if I did only joined in the latter stages, it was still amazing to have the opportunity to come into F2. If I do stay on in F2 and we're paired up again, I'll take the technical stuff, my treat. And with that all being said, I'm looking forward to bigger, better things. Of course, our expansion into Twitch, the amazing deal with Sim Racing Centre, amazing partnership. It's just the start of some great things here at PSGL. I'm super excited for it. On one condition, I get to keep the pillow.
I saw that earlier. It scared me, but I forgot to mention it before we went live. Yes, that pillow was there. It actually stares at your eyes. It's quite scary.
I'll swap it out for my Skyrim one another time. But it's been a genuinely amazing season. I cannot wait for what the future holds, season 36 and beyond. For everyone who's been watching, sticking with us since early days, or just joining this season, or just joining this race, thank you for coming in. Especially those who've been giving us on the Twitch a try. It does not go unnoticed. We see you, and have an amazing. Have an amazing off season because, it's not going to be much of an off season because PSGL, we're always on the move.
Yes, and we'll be back probably within the next, we'll say, a few weeks. I'm not going to give much of a hint, but yeah, within the next few weeks, maybe a month or so, we'll be back with some more action, obviously, throughout PSGL on the PC and PS. So obviously, come back tomorrow, though, because we've got E-Series beginning. Yes, it's off season for the normal season, but E-Series is still going to go ahead. We've got the qualifiers tomorrow, which will last around 2 hours with all the, I think, 16 different teams looking to take 4 spots. Only a quarter of them will make it through towards the E-Series season, where we'll see lots of Williams, RHG, Ferrari, TF10 all fighting for that £1,000 prize pool. So make sure to come back for that tomorrow. Come back for the PS on Monday. That's going to be the final round for those, and also for the PCF one, which will be going on throughout the next few weeks. So yet again, thank you all for joining us in season 35. We'll be back for season 36, hopefully very. I also mess it up at the end every single time. The final ending, I mess it up. Very, very soon. So have a good one then, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.